to be the aggressor today. The Deportivo, a team, a collection of very good players. They, of course, are going to have to somehow sob up the defense force pressure, but this one should be a cracker.
Well, Quincy Williams, the CONCACAF referee, he leads the contingent of officials making their way out. Defense Force, they are third in the competition so far. 4 points, win and a draw in their previous matches. And they will be hoping to continue with their good display so far. Deportivo, it's a far cry. They are in ninth position, just 1 point in 2 matches.
Yeah, certainly the 1 point is not indicative of the talent, array of talent that the Deportivo have. Array of stars, both past and present Trinidad and Tobago national players, some familiar faces from the SSFL. But as I said, James, when you look at both teams and what they present, of course, today, I think without a doubt our viewers are going to be in for a very good game.
Well, you spoke about some of those names, and Deportivo, they've got the likes of Andre Etienne and Wesley John in central defense, Akinola Gregory, Isaiah Hudson, the secondary school's football star, Marvin Phillips, the national goalkeeper, and of course Mark Ramdeen, who we saw in action as the man of the match in their last matchup. And for the defense force, they've got an array of stars themselves. I'll tell you who they are in just a few. But Brent, what do you make of the Deportivo team?
Yeah, certainly an array of stars, as we talked about, some familiar names there within the squad. Of course, as we take a look at the Defence Force squad, of course, Kevin Goddard comes in. One of the changes, he was away on national duty with Trinidad and Tobago alongside Aaron Inel, Jelani Felix, Brent Sam, Jamil Boswain, Hasse Marcia, another national team player, Curtis Gonzalez, the captain, Rion Moore, Justin Sadu, Jules Lee, and Jamali Garcia. Certainly a formidable office team, and of course Defence Force is going to be one of the favourites for this Ascension tournament.
Also, some divine intervention needed as the yellow huddle send up some signals to the sky. Andre Pacheco gets a start for Deportivo Point Fortin, came in as a substitute, the veteran. And Hashim Marcier played both football and basketball for Trinidad and Tobago. Justin Sadu, the former Naparima man, he gets a spot in the starting lineup as we get set and ready for action. As Quincy Williams takes a look at his watch, it's Deportivo Point Fortin coming up against the Defence Force Ascension Football Tournament 2022. So all ready and set. The players are ready for action. And Quincy Williams signals the start of this matchup. Deportivo in the blue and orange. Try to get an attack going early with Riley. It's quickly cut out. And Defence Force looking to attack quickly. Here's Rion Moore, the TNT International, as that one runs out of play. It's an early atmosphere as the rhythm section comes to life. Deportivo, as Brent Sancho mentioned earlier, team, a collection of young talent from the Point Fortin region. They've certainly packed their squad with some good quality.
Yeah, when you look through their squad 1 through 11, some notable names as it relates to international football for Trinidad and Tobago. The man in this between the sticks, Marvin Phillip. No introduction necessary, of course. Playing, of course, over the last international break for Trinidad and Tobago. And when you look through the back line, Wesley John and Andre Etienne had stints outside of this country and through the middle of the park as well. Isaiah Hudson, and down the flanks we have 2 exciting SSFL players who we covered right here live on Sports Max.
Well, Wesley John, one of the big frames in the area. This one is aimed in at Ramdeen. It's headed but not well cleared. Ramdeen gets up really high before eventually being hoofed away by Brent Sam. It's back with Point Fortin. Boy, he's found some good space for himself there. Gone down the defender. And a good service on the inside, and could be the first chance of the match. And, well, it goes harmlessly away to Jordan Riley. Would look to put another service in the area, but he loses possession. It's gone down, perhaps without being challenged there. And he seems to be in a bit of pain as a good tackle comes in to stop Rion Moore.
Well, we took a look at the pitch before the game. Of course, that's Andre Etienne making a big challenge to Jordan Riley Hoblins. It's as much as it's lush outside there, James, it's quite dry. It's been a hot day here in Trinidad and Tobago, and the pitch doesn't have much give in it. So I'm not surprised there. The little twist of the ankle, I'm sure he's going to run it off.
Well, they'll tussle for this one. Possession easily picked. It's back with the yellow shirts. Rion Moore can't get past his man. He has a second opportunity, a high elbow spotted by the referee. So it's been a physical tussle so far in this matchup. Well, they look to reset possession. So all the way back with Wesley John, the man who has played in 5 countries. He's played all over South Asia. He's back home to help his home community, Point Fortin.
Well, this is what I expected from Defence Force, James, to try to press the Deportivo team. I was wondering where their line of engagement would have been. They look like they're going to set a high block in this one. I expect them to try to put the Deportivo boys under some pressure. At the end of the day, you would suspect the Defence Force feel that they need to play on the front foot to have a successful outing here.
Well, the referee's going to call this one back as Brent Sam, it would seem, looks in a spot of bother. He's a big boy. He's holding the back of his head. Might have just been a bit of argy-bargy there with Wesley John. They're both big men.
I won't want to be left alone in a room with those two big boys. It's interesting though. I do believe that this game will be decided by the white players. Both teams boasting bountiful of talent. One of them right now on the ball is Ramdeen.
Well, he loses possession, but he does win a throw. It's Cornwall, one of the players of the match for Point Fortin in their last fixture. Easily back possession for the Defence Force. They are a very high intensity team. They love to play out of the back. The likes of Curtis Gonzalez, very useful with his legs, playing out from tight situations. But they're just taking your time with the build-up here, trying to push forward. It's turned into some trouble there. Sardon, he's lost possession, and it's with the Point Fortin team, and it's a very useful foul.
Yeah, it's a good decision there by Deportivo. Engaging Defence Force quite high up the park, not allowing them to settle. As you mentioned, James, they're known for wanting to stroke the ball out of the back and try to play into the middle of the park, but Deportivo was wiser to the occasion. And it's a good pick-off. It's a bit of a good start though from Deportivo.
Two men lining up over this one. Oh, make that one. Andrew Pacheco, he can strike them from a long distance. That left boot of his. Gonna fancy having a go here, Andrew Pacheco. Tries his luck, deflected, and well, easy in the head for Bryce, but I'm not so sure when it took a deflection.
I tell you what, James, that could have easily ended up into the back of the net. Tricky deflection there. Struck it well. I didn't think it had enough power into it, but the deflection really made it anyone's guess. I tell you, Enels seemed to be counting his lucky stars there.
So possession is with Point Fortin. Would look to Cornwall to get the throw in. Aimed at Ramdeen, he sends it forward only as far as a yellow shirt. It's a tussle, both win, and the referee spotted an infringement. Will be a free kick to the Defence Force.
I think this is where Deportivo is going to have to be switched on. Curtis Gonzalez, the captain for Defence Force, can deliver a good ball. And he's got some big boys in there, the likes of Sam and Moore. Arcia will be jostling for this.
Well, they've got 3 attackers, and it's aimed at one of them, but well cut out by Marvin Phillips. And he sends an attack long. He looks for Lee. Can he get at the end of it? Goes out for a throw. And again, some more positive play from Point Fortin.
Yes, certainly more positive play, and goalkeeper Marvin Phillips was very positive.
Well, he's done well to get some space for himself, but again, Bryce is quick to that task, and they get a counter attack going with Brent Sam. Touch too heavy, and Cornwall cleans up. Mark Ramdeen tries to keep it alive. only as far as the yellow shirt.
Again, lost possession.
Well, the last minute or so has been really sloppy for both teams. Possession has been conceded quite cheaply. This one is aimed at Sam. It's not going to get ahead of Wesley John. It's Cornwall. And foul committed against the retreating Isaiah Hudson.
I think from a tactical perspective, James, when you look at the way Defence Force is set up with that one sitting midfielder in Goddard, he seems to be having a bit of bother when the ball is played into him. There's not much support in and around him. And Deportivo found some joy in picking him off in the middle of the park. It's an adjustment that he may have to make, Defence Force, as it relates to bringing the ball out to the back, because that position there seems to be a position where Deportivo may feel they have some joy in picking off.
Well, they've swung some space out wide. Can he get a good service in to Riley? Well, he thought about volleying, and it's, well, Lee, and he does get a shot off. Not enough power to trouble the goalkeeper, but it's the first real opportunity from open play for Point Fortin. It's a positive move. Yes, Felix. Well, really playing keep ball at the moment at the back, trying to find space to bring it out. Decides to go long. Felix making the overlap. Can he get the better of Riley? Does keep it in, but Riley pokes it out, and he will have a throw deep in the Point Fortin area. Garcia, he's got big frames to aim at. He tries to pick out Brent Sam, and again Cornwall. Often as we've seen that from the left back for Point Fortin.
I tell you what, James, that was a good header there by Cornwall. You looked at the size and frame of Sam. He always looked favourite for that one, but Cornwall certainly no slouch in the air.
Garcia gets it to Sam. Moving it along nicely, Defence Force. Trying to get space in the wide areas. Here's Sam. Well, they've used illegal means to get him to stop that movement. He looked to be exploding into the center, Brent Sam.
I think it's so important for Defence Force tonight to feed the likes of Sam and Rian Moore on the left-hand side. And the quicker they can get the ball to those two, I think it'll be for the better for Defence Force, certainly from an attacking perspective. Again, another delivery for Deportivo to defend.
So they're going to pile the big bodies into the area. Brent Sam is in there, Justin Sadu. This one, well, headed over the bar by the defender, and it will be a corner for the Defence Force. Not a bad service from Curtis Gonzalez, threatening at the back post, and Isaiah Garcia taking no chances. But he does give away a corner. Just about 5 yellow shirts in the area. Not really committing bodies forward this early in the match. Can he pick out a yellow shirt? Brent Sam gets a free header, and Brent Sam puts Defence Force in the lead after just 11 minutes. And as easy as that, Defence Force lead 1-0 over Deportivo.
Well, if you are Reynold Carrington, the Deportivo coach, you have to ask yourself, how could the biggest player on the pitch be so alone to tuck that one into the back of the net? Poor defending there by Deportivo. A lot of remonstration at the back there by the defenders, and the inquisition is going on, but I tell you what, it has been really poor defending. A bewildered Marvin Phillip, you could see the look on his face, disappointed with his charges as the ball is floated into the box. Good delivery there. Look at Brent Sam all alone and puts it into the back of the net. 1-0 to Defence Force.
Well, they're certainly not going to be happy in the southwestern peninsula of Trinidad and Tobago. Can they make amends? Anybody can. Mark Ramdeen can. He scored in their last draw. The only point of the competition so far. Well, this is a good service, and Riley's at the back post, but he can't get ahead of the defender. Well, there were calls for a handball. Quincy Williams not interested. And, well, Akinola Gregory running out of space as well. But it could break here for Riley. But the throw is signaled to be in favor of the defense force. Well, they just seem to fall asleep there from the set piece, Point Fortin, and gifting defense force an early goal as they lead 1-0. Well, they're just going to look to control the tempo of the match. It's still pretty early. But no need to press forward now with an early goal. Well, speaking of which, Rian Moore is sent on a run. He's going to win this foot race. Can he keep it in? Oh, he's done well. Moore brings Felix into play. He's got bodies ahead of him. Goddard runs into trouble. And Pacheco to start the attack for Point Fortin. Ramdeen could get into the act. He has lots of space ahead of him. He's got Riley in the center. Gregory's ahead of him as well. Hudson. Oh, he's done well there. And this one might be overhit. Goes out into touch.
Done everything well there, Hudson, but delivery wasn't on point. It's been good in action. You could feel the tempo of the game rising. Certainly Deportivo would be pleased with what they've put forward so far. Of course, the goal would be their biggest blemish on the sheet.
Oh, that's good from Rian Moore. He's finding lots of joy in the center of the field. Brent Sam, the goal scorer. Well, just ran out of space there. Sam. Defense Force, of course, the most successful team in domestic competition here in Trinidad and Tobago. 20 national titles. 3 in the TT Pro League era. 15 in the National League era. And 2 Super League titles, National Super League titles. It's a club familiar with winning. They're also the only CONCACAF team to have won, or the only Caribbean team to have won 2 CONCACAF regional titles as well, Defense Force. Here's Gonzalez, the TNT International. Space to push ahead now. Felix. Moore. Gonzalez. Oh, that's a good ball. In. Here's Botswain. Looking for space. Crowded out. And Wesley John should be able to clear the danger. Goddard. Oh, this one, Botswain gets a head on it. Couldn't pick out more, but they should win a throw. Just seemed to pick up the intensity Defense Force in the last few minutes.
And it all comes down to the tactical change that Coach Hudson Charles would have made. He's now almost playing almost like a back three. He's pushed Felix here on this side a little bit higher up the park, which giving him a little bit more space and coming out of the back. And that minor adjustment now is seeing joy for Defense Force. Certainly not that pass though.
Well, you'd want that back as the Yellow Shirts keep possession and well, give it away forthwith. Rian Moore's pass a bit overhit, trying to find Felix. Well, they almost seem to give up possession quite easily. Point Fortin have been really cheap in possession the last few minutes. Here's Brent Sam. He's looking to find a yard of space, can't get past Wesley John. Andre Pacheco. Riley's touch is too heavy.
He's got to do better there. James, he's got to hold it in. especially his team needing to get out of the pressurized area. Need him to just keep possession for them.
Well, Sadu finds Felix in a nice pocket of space. Here's Rion Moore looking for space to shoot. Again, Wesley John makes himself a big obstacle as Point 14 come away with it. Here's Gregory. Pacheco. Well, they put 5 passes together, the best of any spell in recent time from Point 14. Looking to find some sort of penetration, and they do find it with Gregory here. Can he open up something? And a shot right through the goalkeeper. And well, I think that might have come as a surprise to everyone, including the goalkeeper. But for Point 14, it's an equalizer, and it's that man, Akinola Gregory, who gets on the score sheet.
But I thought their defense force may have got their lines crossed a bit. They were looking for an offside call from the official. It never came. And it was a good delivery that found Gregory. Goalkeeper in there may have done a little bit better with that one. It went through his arms.
Yeah, it certainly seemed to catch him off guard.
Good ball into the box. Defense force looking for the offside. Didn't come. That man Gregory smashing it into the net. Bringing the scores tied now. Deportivo back in this one.
Well, it's all to play for. Match level. Deportivo Point 14 giving themselves a lifeline. Almost against the run of play. And defense forced to push forward. And they could get some more joy, but it's a corner. But it's in fact a goal kick. Too long in the end there for the run of Rion Moore. Well, Moore certainly did have a good showing at the CONCACAF Gold Cup after on his debut for Angus Eve's Trinidad and Tobago. Has somewhat cemented his spot on the TNT squad. Just a handful of caps from Rion Moore. Here's Ashim Asier. And it's away with Point 14. Here's the goal scorer Gregory. Mark Ramdeen has been pretty quiet all evening. And possession rather, given away quite cheaply. So scores tied at 1, just over 20 minutes going here at the La Hoqueta Recreation Ground. In case you just joined us, this is the Ascension football tournament. Deportivo Point 14 against the Defense Force. Well, Etienne sends this one high into the heaven and he clears his error. Still keep it. And they've done that really well, Defense Force. Holding on to possession. They try to build. And, well, he's not going to build when you give them away that cheaply.
They just seem to have lost their rhythm a bit, James, Defense Force. And a credit to Deportivo for that. They've certainly gotten themselves back into this one. A lot more joy, particularly down the middle of the park. And they look a handful in particular areas as well.
Oh, here's Moore trying to get his attacking partner Bootswin going. Oh, that's a good turn from Sadu. Brent Sam. He's looked pretty lively. And, well, Cornwall is a handful for him. Sadu can't get past Cornwall this time. And Point 14 will hold on to possession. It's going to be a good matchup. Cornwall versus Brent Sam out on the right side.
Yeah, there are a few good matchups in and around the park, particularly in the wide areas, as we mentioned, James. Both teams are blessed with good talent on the wing. Ramdeen and Riley for Deportivo, and of course Moore and Sam for Defense Force. They've been starring so far. Well, Ramdeen's been a bit quiet, but I think the wide players certainly relish this challenge.
Oh, can they get the rhythm going again? Point 14. They've gotten an equalizer after trailing, after 11 minutes. They seem to have some sort of belief back in the camp since that equalizer. Etienne looking for Gregory, who goes down, but the referee says the foul is against Curtis Gonzalez. Felix. Jamali Garcia seems quite comfortable with the ball on his feet. Oh, good work from Riley. And here's Philip trying to play Gregory into play, but a bit overhit. And some remonstrations, perhaps saying that the weight of the pass could have been a bit better.
Yeah, certainly. You would have felt there. Phillips would have played him in. But again, both Phillips and Gregory, James, they look quite lively. Now, one of the reasons why I think Defence Force have really struggled to get out to the back. They've played a lot of passes backward and square. They've got one up top in Boswain, but outside of that, they've really struggled to get in behind. There's an attempt at it. But it's coming together for Defence Force, but it's not been easy.
Oh, they've given it away, and the point Fortin will have a chance to get in behind, but Pacheco's pass is cut out by Brent Sam, who's come a long way back to cut that one out. Hashim Marcier. They've been quite mobile as Brent Sam goes to ground, but they've been quite mobile, the midfield pair for the Defence Force. Point Fortin hasn't made it easy finding space in the middle. See Hashim Marcier and Justin Sadu moving around quite often. But they've sprung some space out wide here. Can they get it across the Arcier? This time cut out. It's not the first time in the match that we've seen the found space out on the right side, but have failed to deliver good service in the area. Oh, that's a heavy tackle from Etienne. And Boswain, well, he doesn't even flinch. Gets right back on his feet. As if, well, he's just having a dust-off in the park.
I'll tell you what, that referee's going to have his hands full. It's a heavyweight match. Pick your choice, James. Boswain or Etienne. Blockbuster.
Oh, that's a hard one to ask, yeah?
Look at that there. That's a picture frame tackle. A Brent Sancho special. Brought to you by Etienne.
I tell you, he looks very reminiscent of a co-commentator of mine back in his heyday.
It's my signature move, James. Well renowned throughout the region.
I wouldn't like to be in the ring. Well, this time again, looking for that left-hand side, or perhaps trying to go a bit straighter this time. Too straight, too long, and giving away possession. Kevon Goddard has been a part of the TNT Under-20 team. In fact, the team that won the Caribbean Championship in 2014, led by Derek King, is part of that squad. Quite a few players on the show in this Ascension tournament were part of that team, that Trinidad and Tobago team. Ike Manjus, who will feature for Lakota Rangers later on, he's another name. Levi Garcia, perhaps the most popular. Here's Riley, one of the young secondary school stars looking to make a name for himself. And that time he couldn't get past his marker. Lots of SSFL talent on show, trying to make that step up into senior football. Well, here's another one. Isaiah Hudson. Oh, did well to lose one man, but he ran into a roadblock. Riley gets it on to Phillips. Can he keep it in? He does. And again, some good cover from the Defence Force. They've been tracking back in numbers. struggle to find individual battles, the wingers. Ramdeen.
It's a good touch.
Gets into some space now, Ramdeen. It's not often we've seen him hold on to possession this long. He's struggled to get on the ball this match. And well, possession is lost. He'll have to defend here. Botswain. Heavy touch, gives away possession cheaply. Can Pacheco do something with it? And again, another pass cut out.
We talked about the SSFL players on show, James, and one of the things that they are going to have to get accustomed to now is space. It's not a lot of time and space that they're used to at the SSFL level. It's a little bit different at this level, and they have to start figuring it out. How do they find their space? How do they find that area that they can impact the game? And I'm sure the young men who are now making that step up to the SSFL is going to find out certainly in this tournament, and it's a joy watching them trying to find it out. We're going to have to find it for them to be able, of course, to show the talents that we've seen at the SSFL level here at the Ascension tournament.
It might be some sort of a cliff as one player has found themselves off a cliff, getting the yellow card. So Luke Phillip going into the naughty corner early for point Fortin. Referee Williams losing patience with some of the challenges that he's seen this evening. Well, for all their possession, haven't really carved out much going through the middle defense force. As that attempt comes to naught. They found more joy going down in the wide areas.
You have to credit this man on the ball and his partner in crime, Pacheco, for policing the middle of the park for the Deportivo. Not really allowing defense force any life in there. Sadu and Arce have been starved for attention.
Here's Andre Etienne. Isaiah Garcia. Can they carve out in some space for themselves? Jordan Riley. Well, cross the wires there. Gives it right back to defense force. As Jamil Botswain takes his man for a run. And that's a foot race that he will lose as it goes out for a throw. Half hour gone in this match between Deportivo and the defense force here at the La Joquita Recreation Ground. Fans beginning to stream in. This ground can get quite crowded in a blink. As Garcia gets some quick attention, and well, he believes that he's done enough to keep it in, and the referee tends to agree as well, despite the protest there from Akinola Gregory. Botswain has been a big target man in the middle. It's Kevon Goddard. Brent Sam calling for it. And, well, he didn't pick out anybody really. The intensity of matches in the Ascension tournament has proven a challenge for many of these teams competing. We've seen lots of teams speaking about injuries happening. Point Fortin, in fact, they're missing quite a few players on their squad due to injury. Here's Brent Sam. Swap places with Rion Moore. This time his thread couldn't go through the eye of the needle. As Point Fortin tried to get something going. Well, that's a tussle. You quicker see in the WWE than in football matches, and it's punished by the referee. As well, the player will take a moment, Akinola Gregory, to have a rest as well. He's drenched at the moment. Just about 32 minutes gone, but he's all soaked up.
we talked about the injuries, James, and of course, football hasn't been played in the country for the last 2 years. But credit to the young men, what we've seen so far in the Ascension League. Certainly a high standard of football, certainly played at a terrific pace as well. All the teams that we've seen so far in the Ascension have, of course, played at a level that would suggest that they won't do for the last 2 years. So as I said, a credit to them and what we've seen so far.
Well, I thought he might have put himself in trouble there, Enel. Dug himself out of that pool. Here comes Rion Moore.
That's a good battle.
And a very good tackle there from Cornwall. And Cornwall, I think he's one of the under-recognized stars of this Point Fortin team. Very solid defender, playing in the wing-back position. And Brent Sam certainly struggled getting past him. Now Rion Moore has been swapped out on that side.
Certainly is up for the challenge here today. We talked a lot about the wide men of both teams. And certainly Cornwall and Garcia, the right back for Deportivo, have done well so far.
But it's a chance of a set piece. And
Tell you what,
they didn't deal with it particularly well. And might have given up another corner.
I tell you what, James, that was extremely close. And just begging for a yellow shirt to put their head on it. Deportivo, despite the experience and size there in the middle, they seem to struggle with balls coming into the box. And that was another one.
Well, they've got another opportunity. Hashim Asir. Very good service, and this time nobody's in at the back door. But they're certainly threatening, and they're looking a bit uncomfortable at the moment, Deportivo, defending these set pieces.
And a lot of it is down to the big players for Deportivo owning it, going up, getting their heads on it. They're going to have to attack it. And the deliveries have been sensational so far by Defence Force. Really putting a lot of pace into the ball that's delivered into the box. And Deportivo has to be a little bit more switched on.
Well, this one is aimed in at Gregory. Doesn't surprise the yellow shirts as they deal with it quite comfortably. Here's Rion Moore. Battle with Cornwall. And
I tell you what, James, he's up for it, isn't he, Cornwall? Certainly up for it. He's not backing down. Rion Moore is a big lad. Certainly one of the national players, current national players for Trinidad and Tobago on the ascendancy. As you mentioned, had a very good Gold Cup and has continued on in that rich vein of form.
I guess Curtis Gonzalez started his career as a midfielder, Gonzalez, but has switched into that defensive position in recent years. He's favored there in the era of Dennis Lawrence as national head coach, and well, it's kind of cemented a spot there. It's Wesley John lead him to help keep the nerves calm at the back. Ramdeen.
That's what Defence Force would want to see. Ramdeen travelling at pace, going towards his own goal.
And a very good tackle from Isaiah Hudson. Will keep possession for the team from the Southwest Peninsula in Trinidad and Tobago. So battle for this one, and Hudson does well to keep possession. It's back with Defence Force now. Tries to get Rion Moore going. It's well cut out. Oh, that's a ball that looked dangerous and had to be quick to get it away. Brent Sam, and well, he's a big of the player, but he seemed to come out worst in the impact. But might have done well to. Well, in fact, he's got nothing. It's a throw for Point Fortin. Well, the game just seems to have lost some momentum in the last few minutes as we approach the 40-minute mark. Just about 38 minutes gone so far. Still 1-1 between Deportivo Point Fortin and the Defense Force.
Yeah, a combination of, I think, a bit of fatigue by both teams. And a bit of composure as well, James. There's sometimes that errant pass, errant judgment has allowed this game to get into a bit of a lackluster affair.
There's Andre Pacheco. It's a good-looking service in the area.
I tell you what.
Gets a head on it, but might have been a foul against the goalkeeper. And well, it looked dangerous for what it was, and it certainly caused no end of trouble. Wesley John thought that he might have gotten there first, but the referee disagrees.
Well, he did leave it quite late, Enel, to come off his line. He certainly was in two minds. And that made it very, very interesting. Of course, Wesley John was one of the interested parties. Tried to get his head onto that one. But Enel, I would suggest James could count himself a bit lucky.
Certainly was. That service looked really inviting. Wesley John was certainly there to gobble up. Rian Moore can't get it in at both Swain. Etienne, well, he's taking no prisoners, as they say in local parlance. Brent Santos certainly enjoying it as a former defender himself.
Tell you what, he sent a message to every single forward player or offensive player for Defence Force that if you come my way, there's no, of course, he could go anywhere. He is a frightening tower of strength. Big challenger as well, tackles heavy.
Quite literally as well. Oh, there we go. Cornwall. And I think for all that we've seen from Deportivo, they're not a bad team in terms of personnel in defensive positions. Perhaps the coordination of getting the team operating as a cohesive unit has escaped them in the early part of the tournament.
Yeah, you expect them to get better as this tournament goes along. Collection of very talented players. They've certainly held their own defensively. The back four of Etienne, John, Cornwall of Garcia. But I think this has been the Achilles heel here, James. Defending set plays. They looked very uncomfortable with the ball whizzing in the box.
And well, might have some more discomfort to deal with as it's another Defence Force corner aimed in at Brent Sam, and this time he couldn't get his head on it. And well, they did well there. Brent Sam might have thought that he was impeded. Well, it's perhaps the coolest man on the pitch, Marvin Phillip, the TNT international. The 82 caps for the national team. Started as a striker his career, Marvin Phillips, for Presentation College. In fact, top scoring in the South Zone Division 1 year before converting to a goalkeeper. And well, that proved to be a very good decision in the end. It's Garcia. Oh, and, a referee allows play to continue. Mark Ramdeen gets involved here. Tries to find right at the far post, and what a good position. It's gone in, but I think that the assistant flag might have gone up earlier. And well, it's a man down, 2 men down, and the scoreline remains the same.
Looked like the ball across there by Ramdeen would have went out of play before Riley got a touch. Of course, goalkeeper Enel receiving treatment there.
Well, he would have wished he knew that earlier. Went in, had to make the challenge, didn't see the assistant's flag. And, well, now he's in a bit of discomfort.
I think the big question as we toggle into half-time is whether or not Deportivo can keep this up. They've played a very good game so far, tactically, and of course what they have done to prevent Defence Force from, of course, playing to their strengths. And the question is whether or not they can keep up with this level of intensity. They've been quite street smart in their approach so far, James. That man there, Riley, still having ins and outs with the game, so have not really impacted it the way he would have liked to, both him and Ramdeen. But they certainly have the ability to be match winners.
Certainly, Ramdeen, SSFL All-Star in 2016 and 2017. Some of the highlights earlier on, Hashim Asier helped put the Defence Force ahead, finding Brent Sam at the back door. And he put Defence Force ahead early, just about in the 11th minute. And they would hold on to that 1-0 advantage until this moment. Akinola Gregory opening it up here and right through the arms of Enel, and that made it 1-1.
Yeah, if you looked at it again, Phillips cutting it back here for Gregory. Looked like a slight defection there off of Garcia in Enel's defense. May have unsighted him, but I think Gregory would have been happy. Look at that skyline there. I could see a few coconuts there, James.
Had one this morning.
Well, the coconut made me say Jim. I was thinking about Jim and coconut.
Oh, well, usually those guys sitting under coconut trees on the beaches are called Jims.
But certainly a beautiful skyline there. Of course, Coach Charles there, trying to impress upon Sadu and Arcia. Beautiful night here in La Hoqueta.
Tell you what, Hudson Charles is former national head coach and scored the equalizer against Honduras back in 1988 to take TNT into the Hex, certainly an integral part of that squad. He was also a part of the Defence Force, the last Defence Force team to win a CONCACAF title. So talk about experience to have on your bench. Well, this young man, he'll be looking for some experience of his own. And well, he'd be looking to be pain-free. He's back on his feet, Enel. And might be the end of his evening, though. It's quite unfortunate, though, that might be forced to come out this early in the match, as Bigot is the man being lined up as his replacement. And it's a sad end to the evening. So Bigot will replace Enel, who sees the end of his evening after suffering an injury.
Yeah, that would be disappointing for Hudson Charles to see his starting goalkeeper being replaced this early in the game. Well, you don't want your goalkeepers to be replaced, period. It's a big blow there for Defence Force. So we see 4 minutes of added on time presented.
Lots of stoppages, and it's expected. Matches at this high intensity after such a long layoff. You will get injuries and lots of time being added. And that is a handball that was well spotted. So the players are going to take their time about this one, just a bit of fatigue creeping in. Still locked at 1 apiece. Can he find some attacking options to perhaps give his team some sort of advantage going into the halfway point? Ramdeen's pass is cut out. But they do get a throw. Took a deflection off a yellow shirt. Philip. Oh, he's done well. He's gotten past more. Here's Philip. Was the architect of the first goal for Point Fortin. Can he help carve something open for the second? Justin Sadu trying to find Sam. Cut out. Here's Pacheco. Ramdeen.
That's a late one. That's a late challenge.
Well, might be the second yellow of the match, and in fact it is the second yellow of the match, and it's gone to Justin Sadu. Well, Quincy Williams has been quite consistent in this match. Justin Sadu, the former Naparima man, a bit late on his former schoolmate.
No love lost between the two.
Well, can Ramdeen force something before halftime as Big at his call to action? His first of the match.
It's done well. It's done really well to hold that up.
Defense force looking to create something before halftime. Oh, well cut out there. Maybe something on the opposite end.
That's a good pass. That's a good ball.
Akinola Gregory's touch letting him down, but he does have a second opportunity. Opening up for Philip, and well, an easy trickle for Big at the end.
Game getting a bit stretchy as we come to the end of the half.
Maybe Rion Moore. It's a set piece, and again can't get past Cornwall. And I think defense force are going to be happy with the corner. Maybe the last chance of the half. Sending bodies forward. Can they create something from perhaps the last chance of the first half to break the advantage? They've got Sadu, they've got Moore, they've got Botswin. Can he find a yellow jersey? Brent Sam is looking. It's aimed in at the back post and an easy catch of Marvin Phillips. And well, that signals the end of the first half. Interesting first half where we saw 2 goals. And at the halftime, it's Deportivo point 14-1. Defense force 1.
Yeah, certainly a game where both teams would look at the positives in this one. Of course, Marvin Phillips there having a conversation with the official. But Defense Force, I think, will overall be disappointed with their performance. Deportivo showed, of course, the individual quality they had, that they could come together in patches of the game with the collective. Another bad half of football for the boys from Point 14. Certainly a game that we thought may have gone very heavily in favour for Defense Force, but Deportivo have shown up for this fixture.
What do you think are some of the key moments that we saw in the first half?
I think certainly the play in the middle of the park by Deportivo, from the likes, of course, from Isaiah Hudson and Pacheco. But that man, Luke Phillip, has been a live wire offensively for Deportivo and has been the spark of everything good going forward for Deportivo. They've been solid at the back with the likes of Etienne and Wesley John. We talked about Cornwall and his tenacity and what he's shown. And most of what we've seen, James, has been a positive for Deportivo. I think from a defense force point of view, we've seen them play in patches and ebbs and flows. They could be a lot better, a little bit more dynamic. I think they need to play a little bit faster as well and try to play a bit higher up the park. A lot for Hudson Charles to talk about in the locker room for the boys, some Tetron, but certainly not out of this one. They would feel that if they tweak things a little bit, they can pull away from the Deportivo.
Well, he did speak about the intensity of Point 14 in the match. And, you asked questions whether or not they can continue to uphold that type of intensity. Lots of work, you think, still to come from that?
Yeah, lots of work still to come, but certainly a game that should bring an intriguing second half.
All right, so it is 1-1 at halftime between Deportivo Point 14 and the Defense Force. We take a break and come back with the highlights. From point 4 to find out if Cornwall related to blacks and what relation. That Cornwall boy was something like that. So the blacks are not seeing it.
Very soft. Lazy Mike.
Huh? Son? Yeah? So the most devastating strikers in secondary school football were catch that Cornwall, right?
Yeah. Ask about school he went.
You know what school he went to?
Who was who again? You was yellow, right? And you was blue. I thought so.
Yes, I already got that now. I actually hear potatoes and I get it.
I know you tell me.
It's like on my
She talking? No. Charlie, could you say something so we can hear you? Huh? Right. You went. Okay. You went. Okay. You went first? Yeah, first. That tells you I went kept down.
Yeah, no,
Maybe that's what started. It's like as soon as he got the MLS contract, last week he nothing happened for you there.
Boy, headset for a second. Right. Is he big of in trouble or is he headset?
50. Well, it's still all to play for here at the La Hoqueta Recreation Ground between Deportivo Point Fortin and the Defense Force. Halftime scores, match 1-1. A goal scored by Brent Sam for the Defense Force, and then the equalizer coming for Deportivo Point Fortin from Akinola Gregory. James Saunders is my name, together with Brent Sancho, and as we take a look at some of the first half highlights. And early shot from Angie Pacheco, deflected and Enel making the first save, the first real opportunity of the match.
Yes,
and then more action would come from Point Fortin. Riley setting it up for Philip, and how instrumental was him in the match?
Yeah, Phillips have been a spark, a live wire. There we see the opening goal there by Brent Sam. But Phillips was a live wire for Deportivo. Goal scorer Brent Sam on the spot, free as can be. James, a good goal for Defense Force. Good header there by Brent Sam. I don't think you get it any easier than that.
And then on the opposite end, Philip instrumental in everything forward for Point Fortin, setting it for Gregory. And that one might have taken a deflection right to the arms of Enel.
Yeah, certainly a deflection, but a good run there. Penetrative run there by Phillips. Tees up his man there, Gregory. Slight deflection off of Captain Garcia and over the hands of Enel. Gregory bringing the boys from Point 14 equal.
Well, Point 14 attacked with some long service. This one again aimed at Gregory's touch, perhaps letting him off early, and then trying to create the opportunity here for Philip, and well, not enough power. And the new goalkeeper Bigat after Enel was substituted due to injury, and the scores remain tied at 1 apiece. So it's still all to play for. We take another break and we come back with the second half action. So we're ready, set for second half action. All to play for between Deportivo Point 14 and the Defense Force, scores tied at 1 goal apiece. And teams are just about set to make their way back onto the playing field. James Saunders is my name. Brent Sancho, former TNT World Cup defender, alongside me. And Brent, all to play for in the second half.
Certainly all to play for from a Defense Force point of view. They would certainly want to step up the tempo, play a bit quicker, and of course sort out the conundrum that's the middle of the park. They have had any joy there to really spring the attacks, and more importantly get the supply line to the likes of Moore, and of course Brent Sam has not been that type of game for Defence Force so far. But if they can fix that and improve, certainly some of these young faces that we see in the stands,
And I'm seeing young Kyle O'Gara inside of there. He's the former Northeast Stars man. You're familiar with Northeast Stars?
yeah, certainly. Kyle and there done a great job there at Northeast Stars. Some of the players really more started at Northeast Stars, as we see the boys from Tetron back out in the pitch. But James, if they can increase the tempo of the game, if they can sort out the conundrum in the middle of the park that they're currently having, they can have a much better half than they did in the first. And again, for Deportivo, much of the same. I think they would feel very encouraged from what they've been able to do. Good leadership at the back from that man there, Marvin Phillips, the captain and Trinidad Tobago national team goalkeeper. And as you rightfully say, James, all to play for.
Well, united they stand, divided they fall. It's one of the military mottos, and it's one that they'll be hoping to employ going into the second half. Defence Force, of course, unbeaten in this competition. Stand on 4 points, a win and a draw in their 2 matches so far. They'll be hoping to continue that good fortune. So far, they haven't given away a point. Point Fortin, a team certainly not lacking in leadership. They've got the likes of Wesley John, Andrew Etienne at the back, Andrew Pacheco. Their job would be to guide some of these youngsters, the likes of Mark Ramsey, Jordan Riley, Isaiah Hudson. And it should make for an exciting second half. A second half we're all excited to witness. So it's play time, 45 minutes to separate these two teams. Defence Force in the yellow and blue, and the Deportivo Point Fortin in the blue and orange. Mark Ramdeem cuts out that early pass. Goes into a tussle with Goddard, and it's a tussle that Goddard wins. Yes, Justin Sadu. Brent's for Rian Moore. Curtis Gonzalez gets into the mix. Marvin Phillips gets his first touch of the second half. Just wonder what the team talk of these squads would have been like during the halftime break. What did you have said, Brent?
Certainly, if I was Coach Hudson Charles, the man in charge of Defence Force, it certainly would have been an animated version of Brent Sancho, something you probably wouldn't have seen, James. When we have the calm and collective Brent Sancho, but certainly would have been animated. And if I was Reno Carrington, I would be a very happy man.
So Defence Force try to push forward here. Again, can't get past Cornwall. He's been a rock in defence, 4-point Fortin. Jordan Riley thought that he was fouled. The referee's assistant agrees, and they will have a free kick to Point Fortin. Jordan Riley certainly looking to make a name for himself at the senior level. One of the standout players at secondary school level. Very good from set pieces, Jordan Riley. Hasn't had an opportunity to take much. There's a foot race here with the more experienced Gonzalez. Gonzalez wins quite easily. Does look to be a slight bit of discomfort to Jordan Riley. Has been hobbling around since the first half. Lee. His touch, his pass isn't very good, it's cut out. So Mark Ramdeen. Akinola Gregory turns into traffic, and Defence Force come away with it. They've got numbers pouring forward, and maybe not the best decision at the time, but they still keep it. Finds Brent Sam, 1v1 here. Cornwall, and wow, put off his mark there. And not very good in the end from the big man, the brother of former TNT International, Brent Sam.
For the first time this afternoon, he's got the beating of Cornwall, just couldn't get his shot on target. I'd like to see him hit it across the goalkeeper in the face of Marvin Phillips, forcing at least into action. just couldn't get his angles right. It's positive.
Defense force will launch yet another attack from the point 14 area. Lee. This one is flicked and Marvin Phillips should be there to clean up the danger. He's always the coolest customer on the pitch, Marvin Phillips. Hudson. Phillips seems to be involved in everything going forward for point 14. Here's Cornwall. Lots of space to exploit going forward. Hudson. Back to Wesley John. Pacheco. John. Just 2 caps for TNT. Wesley John, but he certainly has a ton load of experience at the senior level. Well, they managed to keep it here. Justin Sadu goes all the way back to Curtis Gonzalez. But they're still quite content to build up play from their own half. Point 14 with a middle block.
It's not a bad ball.
Brent Sam is in. Well, might have been a handball or might have been offside as well. Either way, it's a point 14 free kick. Not a very good touch, just gives away possession. Here's Brent Sam, reverse pass looking for Botswain. Lee, good service here, could pick out someone. Just a bit too long, and they lose possession. Not a bad idea though from the defense force.
Well, already with about 5 minutes or so gone, defense force getting themselves in better positions in and around the park. And although I still don't think they've quite figured out that conundrum I spoke about in the middle of the park, where they're not getting a lot of joy, they're now starting to see their wing players a little bit more active, which is what they would like.
Oh, that's a good turn there for Ryan Moore. Tries to get a shot away, but Etienne is really quick out there. Might have hurt himself as well, Etienne. Ryan Moore does have a good right foot. And Etienne, he's a good knack for making sure those right foot efforts don't come off.
Well, I'm not sure if Etienne could get injured. That free kick being called back there.
Those indestructible old school type players. Did play for Central FC, Andrew Etienne.
Certainly one of my favourites to pass through Central. Tough tackling defender from point.
5 caps for the TNT national team. Have to defend here though. Looking for a shot, Goddard. Well cut out, but they still keep it. Looking for space to get a service in here. Well marshalled by Jordan Riley. And it will be a throw. That's a good ball in. Marvin Phillips is quick to spot the danger. And it could start some more danger at the opposite end. This pass is well cut out by Goddard. It's Pacheco. Wesley John just allows it to fall in front of him, and luckily for him, Hashim Al-Sir's touch wasn't the best. So it's a goal kick for the boys from point 14. Well, how calm is Marvin Phillips really? He just looks so calm. He was part of the 2001 SSFL team that won the Intercall for Princestown Secondary. He's joined that on the list with his teammate this evening, Andrew Pacheco. He's part of a very talented Princestown team that included the likes of Lindsay Sherwood, Lyndon Luke, and the now deceased Clyde Leon.
I think Anthony Noriega was part of that team as well.
He also was, quite right. Very talented SSFL team. So good to see some of the SSFL players making that transition onto international football and professional football. Here's Gonzalez. Oh, they look very comfortable. Trying to get Lee going. He's found some space. And not enough to get his cross in though. Thought he might have done better.
Well, we've seen this approach a couple of times in the first half, and for my liking, not enough. It's where the space is. When the likes of Sam draw their defender out of position, that space in behind that is vacated by Cornwall, when he moves up with Sam, is where the joy is for defence force, and it has to be almost a precision pass. There's Hudson Charles. I'm sure that's what he's thinking as well. A midfield maestro in his day for Trinidad and Tobago, and of course for the very defence force as well. But those passes coming out to the back, certainly from Gonzalez and Garcia in particular, has to be a little bit better. Gonzalez has been able to deliver, but for Garcia, he has to find a way to make sure those passes are pinpoint, because that's where the joy is for defence force.
Well, it should be defence forces' turn to take back possession. And they will from the throw. Well, the crowd just building up here in La Hakata. Of course, the home team, La Hakata Rangers, they're going to be coming up against Maruga FC in the second of this double-headed fixture here in La Hakata. But here's point Fortin, a chance in for Gregory, just too long ahead of the striker. He's a bit annoyed with himself there. That was so close, but yet so far away from getting the go-ahead goal for point Fortin.
That man Phillips again, getting themselves, breaking lines and getting themselves in the box. James, I felt if he was a bit more braver, he might have got his head on that one. I think he saw bigger and he wanted nothing to do with it. But again, breaking the lines, playing that role superbly well. Number 10 role. Been very impressed with the youngster this afternoon, Phillips. He's putting a good shift for his squad.
This one should be easy for Wesley John to clear. Just a bit of change in strategy somewhat from the first half from what we saw from point Fortin. They're defending a lot deeper than we saw in the first half. Just allowing defense force the first 2/3 of the field to build up. Really only pressing when they come into the final third. Well, that's easy for Ramdeen. Tries to get Philip forward. Couldn't control it, and well, he worked hard to regain it. And well, I'm sure Big Heart would have preferred a more comfortable way to get rid of that one. Chose route one. But how good has Philip been so far? He's certainly been perhaps the liveliest point Fortin player in the evening.
And on both sides of the coin, really. He's done well offensively, breaking lines, getting into box, been active, looking for passes, trying to get on the end of things, and defensively, he gets back and causes a lot of course, confusion for defense force that they haven't, particularly in the middle of the park. His work rate alongside that man on the ball there, Pacheco, and Hudson, has been superb for Deportivo. And one of the reasons why defense force haven't really have a stranglehold on the football game so far, despite the fact they've had a large amount of possession. They're still very much in this one. It's at 1-1.
Well, they're still yet to really get some penetration as they find some space in the middle with Botswain. Sadu does find some space now. Can he take advantage? He's got Lee. Quickly closed down by Ramdeen. Here's Hashim Asia. On giving away Ramdeen. Press. Getting the end result that he would like. It's point Fortin to take possession. And Philip, well, he's gone into a heavy tackle there from Jamali Garcia. And what a good tackle that was. So that one goes out into touch, and what they've certainly done well, they've limited the space, particularly in the attacking third for Defence Force, and they forced them to make errors trying to penetrate. Ramdeen, he's done well to keep it, and he gets another bite. Oh, some clever footwork from him, keeps it alive. Pacheco does get his man going forward, and again, well, I'm not sure if he attempted to pick out Gregory there. He was attempting a shot, but Marvin Phillip took no chances. As the action breaks on the other end, Defence Force, Rion Moore. They've got a dangerous front three Defence Force. Always look dangerous in transition.
Yeah, that's where they're finding most of their joy, in transition. Certainly the likes of Moore and Sam, the pace and ability. But they've given as good as they've gotten as much as they've given. Garcia, and of course that man Cornwall.
So again, it's another set piece. They can't threaten from, and Marvin Phillips is there, averting any danger. Justin Sadu tries to keep it alive. But he's got space to put one in, and can't get past his man this time.
That's good defending. That's good defending there.
So the danger has been averted. Isaiah Garcia with some expert defending. Hashim Arcia isn't too happy.
The both wingbacks for Deportivo have really stood out here tonight. They've defended well. It's a difficult task. When you talk about Sam and Moore, height, size, pace, very athletic, and they've stuck to their tasks very well so far.
It's Lee. Gets it only as far as Riley. He runs into trouble. Andre Pacheco can't get a shot away Hudson, and well, scuffs that effort, and it will be a goal kick.
Just needed a little bit more composure there, James. He created enough for the shot. And he just really needed to settle himself a bit. But he rushed it. And the opportunity was gone.
Another chance to build up. Well, they're choosing their moments in terms of pressing point 14, doing a good job at it. As Pacheco breaks up yet another attack. He's done well, hasn't he, Angie Pacheco? No, it's Jordan Riley 1v1. Can't thread the needle. Sadu tries to get Sam going on the other end, and Wesley John. Very composed defending from John, and he managed to win back possession. Might have done enough to win a throw, 4.14, but it's in fact gone against them. Brent Sam at least getting the consolation of a throw in that battle. Oh, it's a mighty long run up from Brent Sam. Looking for Botswain, can't get it past John. Akinola Gregory to battle, and still managed to keep it point 14. Momentarily as Goddard intercepts. Oh, this is good from Goddard. And finally runs into Cornwall. It's been impassable all evening. Well, I just like the shape defensively from point 14. I think it's a big improvement from what we have seen in the first half. Certainly making it difficult for the Tetuan boys. Oh, that's Sam. Can do. Create some space for himself. And well, they're going forward now. And Akinola Gregory finds himself 1v1. And the touch just eluded him. Unlucky for him. And Curtis Gonzalez fortunate to have an opportunity to clean up. Here comes the defense force now. Rian Moore.
It's good defending. Good defending. Stood his ground, James.
Mark Ramdeen, he's played a much more subdued role this evening. Gregory tries to get Philip alive. He keeps the possession alive. Here's Ramdeen. Into Philip. Looking for options. And a shot turn, wow, was certainly called into action there, Bigot. And it's an action that he answered as he kept that out.
That was a terrific strike there by Isaiah Hudson. Got a lot of power out of that trusty left foot of his. Certainly gave Bigot something to think about.
We didn't have much time to think about it, but he reacted well to the danger. Brent Sam, he certainly has been targeted all evening. Goddard looks as smooth as petroleum jelly. Well, the match has certainly taken a much different shape from the one that we saw in the first half. Defense force trying to be patient, waiting for the moment. Point Fortin have been tactically very disciplined, held their shape really well. Goddard. Sadu finds Gonzalez. Spot three. Done well to keep it as it goes all the way back to Gonzalez. Just sense that the match is building up to a point where something will happen very soon.
I think the real question here for Deportivo is whether or not, as I said in the first half, they can keep up with this momentum. Really shelled out a lot of energy in this one. Sure, fitness will be a factor leading into the closing stages.
Well, I'm sure that very soon we're approaching the point that we will see some changes. Just about 67 minutes gone so far, and might see the first change, and it will be the goal scorer, Akinola Gregory, who will be recalled to the bench, and in his place will be Ezekiel Kessa, would have started the last game for Point Fortin, finally making his way in, and Jordan Riley sees the end of his evening, and he will be replaced by Russell Alfred. So there's been a change in attack with Russell Alfred coming in. Very competent goal scorer, Alfred. Ezekiel Kessa getting his opportunity to impress Coach Reynold Carrington. First, they've got to defend. Curtis Gonzalez stands over this set piece opportunity. Oh, tries his luck, and well, luck wasn't with him.
He just did not get the right technique to get that ball up and down. It's a very difficult skill. One that I'm very sure that Gonzalez can do, just didn't get it right on this occasion.
Point Fortin, the first of the teams to make outfield changes. Of course, defense force forced into an early first half change when goalkeeper Enel came off injured. Coach Hudson Charles has opted to keep his outfield players as they were, as you would say in military terms. And they come away with something here. The whistle of the referee interrupts the action. It will be a defense force free kick.
You have to wonder if Coach Charles is even looking at possibly a tactical change. It's not really going his way of what he would have liked.
Well, here's Lee. Found some space, but again, he's found it difficult to beat Cornwall. Well, they're giving away possession in a dangerous area, and Alfred helps to get it away. He gets his first involvement in the match. Well, substitute Kessa as well getting involved. Looking to open up something here, and well, Hudson again getting another attempt at goal, and this time he had the accuracy but not the power.
But he made the wrong decision there, James. There were two players on the other side of him. He might have been better served if the ball was laid off for them. Just didn't pick his head up. He had one thing in his mind. I'm not sure if anyone in point 14 could have changed that.
Well, one thing in the mind of both these teams would be to break the deadlock. Currently tied at 1 apiece. 70 minutes as we approach the 70th minute. Well, there might be more changes though. Some activity happening on the defense force bench. Looking for somebody, a difference maker, to come in. It's Goddard. Ashimasia couldn't get his pass forward. It's cut out, and Alfred can get an attack going. Couldn't pick out Philip on that occasion. And well, Philip a bit exuberant in his pursuit of possession, and he gives away a foul. There's Lee. Botswain just loses his footing. Pass cut out Brent Sam. Goddard. Well, couldn't lose Philip. And Alfred might have just run himself into an offside position as Philip chooses option B, Kessa. So, some more changes happening. 3 changes being made by the defense force. Dwight Quintero and Ronaldo Corriat lined up to come in. And Andre Pacheco will make his way off the field. And he will be replaced by, I'll tell you who that was in just a second. So Hashim Asier, Brent Sam, and Jamil Botswain will make their way off, and Ronaldo Corriat, Cooper, and Dwight Quintero, as they've opted for some fresh legs on top.
Look very much like for like, James. Not necessarily a tactical switch. Certainly they're going to look for the same type of approach, but different personnel. Quintero, of course, certainly a match winner in those boots.
Quintero, of course, played a lot of his club football at W Connection as well as Central FC. Well, here's a chance for him to do something. Well cut out by Wesley John. Can we find a match winner? Is there to be a match winner? Both these teams are already getting draws in the competition. Fence Force picked up a draw in their opening match against Terminix Rangers as Mark Ramdeen.
Be careful.
Gets the better of Lee. And he goes to ground. No whistle. It's Corriat. He gets in on the act. And Quintero, a slow start for him and couldn't get better of Cornwall. Well, they're quite confident to play out from the back point, 14.
We a bit too confident. Ended up for a throw for defense force.
Alfred also played club football at Guaya United in the National Super League. Solid forward, he can get among the goals. Goals is something that Point Fortin will feel that they need at the moment. Well, can they get one here from Kessa? And well, not sure he knew much about that, but he kept it out. And it remains 1-1.
He showed a good pair of heels there. Some good skill. Man, Kessa driving in here. But this here for a bit of skill, James. Eludes his man. Left him for dead. Good save eventually there by Biggett.
Most importantly, he's kept the score line, as it were. And they're going to be happy with that as defense force try to get it away from their area. And they do get a throw. Wesley John. Etienne getting the attention of Quintero. Marvin Phillips comes to the rescue. Oh, is he in trouble here? But it's gone against him, and it's a defense force throw deep in the Point Fortin area. Here's Jamali Garcia. Lee. Good looking service forward. And well cut out, well read by Wesley John. Cornwall. Oh, that's a good turn from Cornwall.
Well. That's good skill.
Mark Ramdeen does well to keep it alive as a second bite of the cherry. So Alfred holds up. Lunging tackle from Hudson. Gives it back to defense force. But they're certainly trying to get it in quickly to the front three this time around. It's the second time that Lee has tried first-time attempts into Dwight Quintero. Sufficing to say, both have been unsuccessful. "14 minutes remaining in this match. Is there to be more goals? Here's Justin Sadu. Looking to get one of those yellow shirts ahead of him going, and only picks out Marvin Phillip. Oh, that's a great turn from Alfred. Could be 1v1 here, Russell Alfred. But he's looking for options, and he picks the option to shoot, and well, you'd hope for that option back if you can have it again.
Well, it was even Ramdeen coming up the left-hand side. But I think he only had one thing in his mind there. Never really created a proper angle. Good distribution there by Marvin Phillip. Finding his man. Alfred just had to make his mind up. Never really created a shooting angle. Hence the reason that ball went high, very, very high, and over the bar.
Well, Ramdeen almost intercepted in a crucial area. Defense force are going to be happy to have that back. Quintero muscle out of possession by Wesley John. Here's Gonzalez. Well, he's certainly getting lots of attention from the opposing defenders. This one is in search of more. Well, couldn't control, but he has a second bite. Ramdeen. Philip. Not the best touch, but he manages to keep it. Well, they have found some joy out left here with Alfred. This time, more options for him. Can he get a good cross in? He does get a good cross in, but couldn't find the direction, Mark Ramdeen. But how close was that from point 14? Certainly did enough to create some sort of concern for Defence Force.
Yeah, and as this game goes on, you have to wonder if Deportivo is going to just sneak a punisher at the end. It's certainly been good value for money. It's a probing ball here by Defence Force.
Well, he's got to deal with 3 on more Cornwall. And, well, he does his job. And it's a corner. He's proving a hard man to get past this evening.
He's been solid, James. I tell you what, he's certainly a contender for man of the match here this afternoon. Solid in all aspects of the game. Just can't be beaten. His father was a top-notch striker.
Kester Cornwall played with him back at Star Wars Striker. Was part of that dangerous St. Benedict's team. Featured the likes of Kendall Neck Davis, Sanjay Tuse. As this one is headed clear. Well, if the scores remain as is, I think that my shoe-in for man of the match certainly would be Cornwall.
He would certainly be part of that conversation. Maybe even throw in that man, Luke Phillips.
He's certainly been lively.
He's been very lively for Deportivo.
That's a good touch there from Lee. Punches it forward. It's Cooper. Goddard. He's been good this evening as well. Easy for Marvin Phillip in the end.
Leave the MVP rulings up to you, James.
Not good, Cornwall. If the match remains as it is. Oh, that's an illegal tackle, says the referee Quincy Phillip. And it's a change that perhaps was expected. Joe Baltazar has been called into action as Rion Moore makes his exit from the match. Baltazar, of course, integral part of the TNT futsal team. Very handy playing in small spaces. And point 14 come away with something here against the Defence Force.
It's a good ball. This could be
Twisted
trouble.
away nicely by Piggott, and well, the follow-up attempt left a lot to be desired.
Just felt that anything on target there, James, might have caused a spot of bother there for Bigot. Just never got it on target. And this is where Defence Force have really struggled, coming out of the back, trying to play that probing ball up front, and it's resulting in a lot of repellent by point 14.
Well, that's an odd poor ball from Cornwall. And that opens up some space out wide. Well cut out. Past Goddard, but he chipped up by Phillip, taken quickly. It's Cooper. Couldn't get it forward quickly enough to Baltazar. Here's point 14. And too long for Alfred. In his 30s now. Not going to catch those. 7 minutes to find a winner in this match.
Oh, that could be.
Will it be with the defense
Tell
forces
you.
an appeal for a handball? Quincy Williams right on spot. And he sees nothing wrong. But Quintero, well, his expression tells a totally different tale.
I think if we had VAR in this one, we may be having a different conversation, James.
Ooh,
Was
VAR.
it? Was his hands in a natural position? That conversation would have been started.
Not sure the answer would have been one favorable to the defense force, as they get a favorable position. It's a corner. Can they scrape up
To the
something
ball.
here? Too far for anybody. Corriat keeps it alive. And again, good defending at the back from Point Fortin. Been very disciplined the second half. And they could break here. They've got,
Oh, that's naughty.
well,
That's
it's two-footed. And Godhard gets his due punishment. Looked like a Brent Sancho type tackle.
Just a bit later than a Brent Sancho type tackle. I think I'm a little bit more on time than that. A stickler for time I am, James. But certainly the veracity was there.
Could have missed a school bus with that type of tackle. Very late. Here's Wesley John. Point Fortin in search of a winner. Quintero, happy feet. Baltazar with options. Goes for the option of Corriat. Can he pick him out? That's good defending.
Great defending. Top defending again. When you start to, of course, put together and put this Deportivo performance in context, James, you'd have to suggest that they could be one of the teams that you have to look out for in this Ascension tournament. They've started slowly, but every game they seem to be improving.
Could there be more joy? Cornwall, not the best touch that we've seen from him this evening.
The only blemish on this sheet.
Is there one more trick up the sleeve of the successful defense force team? Baltazar contend with Wesley John. He's kept him honest. Lee,
That's a good ball.
chance for a cross, and Quintero's header, well, not well directed. Don't think he made right contact.
Starting to turn the screws a bit, defense force.
3 minutes remaining. Ronaldo Corriat with some space here. And again, well cut out by Isaiah Garcia.
We did talk about the fatigue factor as it relates to Deportivo. They've certainly put out a lot of industry and endeavor in this game so far. As we get down into what most call Fergie time, you have to wonder if they have enough left in the tank to hold off the boys from Tetron, as they certainly starting to put themselves about.
They have scored goals late in matches. Is this another of those moments for defense force? Justin Sadu can answer some of those questions. Aimed in at Quintero, and this time well defended yet again. Tries to keep it alive. Here's Mark Ramdeen and Alfred.
He has to keep it. He has to keep it there, James.
Couldn't hold on. Back with the yellow shirts under pressure, and again Isaiah Hudson this time comes to the rescue. Well, they're putting them under some pressure now, defense force. It's keeping possession in the half of the Deportivo Point Fortin team. Here's Lee. Some space and, well, got an A for effort. Z for execution. Here's Sadu.
Starting to see gaps now in this Deportivo team, James.
Can go forward now to Mark Ramdeen. Second best there in that challenge. Hope he's done well to win it back. Here comes the Defense Force yet again. Finding more space now. Well cut out by Etienne. Ramdeen scored the beautiful goal in the last match for Point Fortin, but this time he's well intercepted. Quintero will have to hustle here. Ken Wesley, John and Cornwall combining.
Really put in a shift here tonight. That back four for Deportivo. Not only been solid, James, but they've certainly dictated the pace of this game for Deportivo. It's been the launch of everything that's been good for them.
Well, can there be more drama here for Point Fortin? Alfred, and wow, I think a touch from a Defense Force player might have thrown him off. Seemed to be wrong-footed by the time it got to him. Well, those hogs are normally seen in boxing matches and usually signal tired men. Into the last minute of regulation time. Defense Force looking for a late winner. Coriat aimed at Quintero, and a chance opening up for Sadu. And wow, just missed his mark, Justin Sadu. But how close was that? Marvin Phillips looked to be struggling to get across.
Well, we talked about it, and again I have to repeat it. Fatigue stepping in here. They're now starting to see the gaps and the spaces within the Deportivo team, and the discipline going out the window. As I said, they've really put in a shift here tonight. But for the sake of what they've done, you just hope that they, of course, don't shoot themselves in the foot and allow Defense Force to sneak home with a winner, because they've worked really hard and they're good value for this 1-1 score so far. But you can't help but think about the fatigue factor, which is really stepping in now as longer this game goes on.
Well, speaking about longer, they've got 4 minutes to hang on. Deportivo done well so far for the 90 minutes. Additional time can prove to be a test. Cornwall run himself into trouble, but
it's the fatigue factor, James. I harp on it, but it's so glaringly obvious. Not the same pristine performance we saw in the first half by Deportivo. Now the mistakes and the indiscipline, the decision making starting to, of course, go rare. And now they have a set piece to defend.
Well, Gonzalez aimed his sights on one of 6 yellow shirts in the area. Picks out a blue one. Does get a second bite of the cherry. It's Cooper. Oh, that's a good ball. Etienne, dominant as ever in the air. He clears the danger. Send Defense Force chasing. They've got a few moments to breathe. Can they hang on to this 1-1 draw? Point Fortin. Defense Force. And Mark Ramdeen might have put his shoulders there, making that interception.
It's a poor decision there by Cooper to try to stick that ball in there by Sadu. Ramdeen seems to be in a lot of pain there, grimacing. Certainly his fall was very awkward. As we could see the faces and the body starting to build up here. As we look again, James, at this one, very late. Look at his fall here, on the shoulder. It's a poor decision there by Cooper to stick that ball in there.
2 Naparima men coming into a tangle. Sadu coming out the worst of them. I think not so much the tackle, but the fall rather.
Yeah, I think the fall was very awkward. It's another graduate from the SSFL in Coriat. Just pictured before. As I was saying, James, the crowd starting to build. Certainly a tremendous atmosphere, tense one here at the La Joquita facilities.
Well, the good news is that Mark Ramdeen is back on his feet, assisted by the physiotherapist for Point Fortin. Was a good player himself, Kelvin Modest. Now moved on into physiotherapy. Seems that they will continue with 10 men for the moment. And, well, doesn't appear that he may be able to continue as they have to defend another set piece here.
That was some exceptional defending there by Garcia. You would have felt that Etienne would have snuck in there. But Garcia with the saving header. It's not over yet.
Well, will it be Point Fortin to steal something here at the death? Well, not this time. Cut out. And, well, the final whistle. Perhaps a deserving whistle and one that both teams would have been anxious for. It leaves Deportivo 1, Defense Force 1, and a fair result, in my opinion, Brent Sancho.
Yes, certainly a fair result. From both teams' perspective, I think you have to give Deportivo a lot of credit. The feeling going into this one is where Defense Force, of course, would have played in the front foot, would have been the aggressor, but they nullified a lot of Defense Force strengths. Certainly the wide players of Moore and Brent Sam didn't have the type of joy we expected them to have in this fixture. And then in the middle of the park, with the likes, of course, of Pacheco, Hudson and Phillip, who worked tremendously well in shutting down everything positive for Defense Force. So there's a lot of positives coming out of this for Deportivo. For Defense Force, they would feel that they should have done a lot better. Certainly not their night tonight, and certainly not one of their better performances.
So coming up in just a bit, we've got La Hakata FC versus Maruga FC. But the full-time score, Deportivo Point Fortin 1, Defense Force 1. So let's take a quick look at the highlights as we wrap up this match. And early highlights deflected Angie Pacheco's shot, certainly creating some early action in this match. Seesaw fixture. And Point Fortin with some more early attacking play. This time Riley setting up Phillip and a team effort in the end. But they would get the breakthrough. A minute 12 Defense Force. Hashim Asier picking out Brent Sam at the back door to give them a 1-0 advantage. So Hashim Asier putting over a good service. Defense Force getting an unmarked head at the back door. But Point Fortin would respond well. Phillip again at the heart of everything, creating one for Akinola Gregory. And Enel couldn't deal with the deflected shot. And that put the score level. And that's how they would remain at halftime. And that's how it remained for pretty much the end of the match. Another chance opening up here for Akinola Gregory. Touch not really creating the space for him, but he would put it in a platter for Phillip. And his deflected effort, easy for Bigat. So that was halftime. Second half created another kettle of fish. This time Brent Sam opening up an opportunity, not really getting past Cornwall. He was pretty much marked out of the match. And Isaiah Hudson creating the best chance perhaps of the second half, forcing Bigat into a wonderful save. Point Fortin really came alive here. Substitute Kessa, and the goalkeeper somehow getting a foot in the way of that one to keep scores 1-1. And then another substitute benefiting from the Marvin Phillips service. Russell Alfred, 1v1 and running out of options and ideas at the same time. Point Fortin keeping alive. Isaiah Garcia, Mark Ramdeen deflected. And score remaining 1. And was there one more chance for Point Fortin? Well, goalkeeper Bigat ensured that he did his job. While some poor finishing also let down Point Fortin. And then Justin Sadu with another one just wide of the mark for Marvin Phillips. And no goals going in as the score after all the effort ended up with Deportivo Point Fortin 1 and the Defense Force 1. A deserved result in this match as both teams continue to try to progress in this competition. Of course, our defense force unbeaten in the competition. 2 draws for them and 1 win in their 3 matches, while Point Fortin, they've managed to just pick up 2 points in 3 matches, 2 draws and a win. So we'll update you on the standings later on in this fixture. Don't forget, we're standing by waiting for the second fixture, but before that I've got Brent Sancho pitchside and he's got our man of the match.
With young Cornwall, man of the match. Tell us a little bit about the game, of course. Where do you think Deportivo went right in this football game?
We went right towards the game mentally, but we wasn't that physically ready for the game, but we'll prepare better for it next time.
Yes, certainly a man of the match performance. A back 4 of yourself, Wesley John, Etienne, and of course Garcia held solid. Some tricky performance there for defense force, but you held your own. Talk us through some of the moments of the game where you felt that you guys did very well.
Basically, we went very well by speaking to each other because it's Wesley John and Etienne, who senior men, and they speak from me back. They guide me through it, they guide us.
Well, again, congratulations on your man of the match performance as we toss it back up to James.
And that, of course, was Brent Sancho with our man of the match, Cornwall, and certainly an exceptional performance from the young man from Deportivo Point Fortin. So that's the end of this first match. Deportivo Point Fortin 1, Defense Force 1. When we come back, we've got the home team, La Hakata Rangers. They're going to be coming up against Moruga.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Back up, you're coming back up.
All right. All right.
Watch now, where the fins? They're right there. It's up there. Right, next one.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do from now because you see that blue one fucking up. Yeah, it's fucking up. So we were in 3 from now. Well, the Spain, sorry, from now. Alright, first, seem to be good.